السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Indeed, the message that has been given to humanity by none other than the creator of the universe is definite, is concrete and complete. And only those who understand the existence of a divine, who believe in his guidance, can benefit from it and can benefit it through their prayers and through spending out of what they have given. He has given us. We are having the series on the guidance of God, as he tells us, Inna hudallahi huwa huda. And in the entire Quran runs around that basic concept, Inna hudallahi huwa huda. The guidance is the guidance that comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have a team of scholars, scientists, activists, and laypersons who are reflecting on verses of the Quran according to their own understanding. We have had so far Imam Fatin Saifullah, Dr. Ahmadullah Siddiqui, and yesterday we began our interaction with Dr. Muhammad Aslam Parvaiz, a renowned scientist, not only in India but all over the world, someone who has dedicated his life to understanding the Quran from a scientific perspective, someone who has written 6 books on that issue, someone who has created the first vernacular science magazine in Urdu, someone who has also established a Quran center to promote the idea that is the foundation of his movement and his search of the divine guidance. That is, people should understand the Quran in the languages that they can understand. Yesterday, he talked about ibadah and a comprehensive understanding of ibadah according to the Quran. And today, he is going to focus on justice and goodness. And we welcome him back to the IslamiCity's series. Welcome, Dr. Muhammad Aslam Parvaiz, for this second episode of your discussions and your reflections.
Thank you, Dr. Aslam Abdullah. Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. I have been a student of science as well as of Quran. My subject was botany, and the specialization was in physiology and biochemistry. So a major part of my life I spent on teaching, and then switched over to administration, teaching administration, and I have been the principal of a college in Delhi University and then the vice chancellor of university. Now, during this administration period, I recruited a lot of faculty, and whenever we float in an advertisement, I would say, literally flooded with recommendations. And people send their recommendations on different basis. And mostly, and the major part of the recommendation was based on that this guy is really very poor, comes from a very humble background, and maybe at times he's an orphan. He is the only person supporting the family. Therefore, he must get this position. Now, in fact, by my nature and as I learned from the Quran, I always went on the merit, selected the person on the basis of the merit. So that way, I must say that I was not very popular. This is one example where I feel that the message of justice, which is mandatory and binding on all of us who claim us to be Muslims, is somehow not considered a part of Islam or a part of, if I can use the word ibadah. Secondly, what I see in my society, I come from Old Delhi area, that at many places I find that the husbands not treating their wives well. We distinctly find a gender bias, inclination towards boys as compared to the girls. Now, this is the basis, and many more such observations, which I believe most of you must have also observed in a society wherever we are, except the situations are much better in West. But in the subcontinent, the situations are, I would say, so that is the reason why I am picking up justice and goodness in my today's presentation. And the verse which I have chosen to start with is Surah Nahl 90, which is usually almost used in the subcontinent during the Friday sermons. This is Surah Nahl 90. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adl wal ihsan wa ita zil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'izukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. It says that, behold, Allah enjoins justice and the doing of good and generosity towards fellow men. And he forbids all that is shameful and all that runs counter to reason, as well as rebellion. He exhorts you so that you might bear in mind. It means there are three things which are binding on us, because Inna Allah Yamuru, we must focus on it. It is an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we must do justice, that is adl, wal ihsan, doing of good, and generosity towards fellow men. These are the three things which are binding. And the three things which are forbidden, anything lewd or shameful, which is counter to reason, and walba, that is rebellion. Now, taking up justice first. So naturally, my first focus will be on the faith. That is justice with our faith. That is, if I claim that I am a Muslim and Quran is my book, then am I doing justice with the book? Because as this verse Qasas 85 shows, this book is binding on us. Inna allazi faraza alayka al-Quran la raddu kalamat. Faraza alayka al-Quran. Most surely, he who has made the Quran binding on you will bring you back to the justice. So this Quran is binding on me. Faraza alayka al-Quran. If Quran is binding on me, then do I know what is written in the Quran, what Allah asks us to do, and what is prohibited? That is simply do's and don'ts. Even if we forget the rest, do I know what Quran asks me to do? What I have found right across the world, wherever I have traveled, not only in this subcontinent, that most of the Muslims, whether they are in Europe or USA or Middle East or in subcontinent, they read Quran without understanding. So now the first question is, are we doing justice with the Quran, with our faith, with our belief system? The Quran, which we claim is the book of guidance, we read it, but we don't understand it, though it is binding on us. The second verse, which asks us to follow strictly what is there in the Quran. Follow what has been revealed to you from your fosterer, and do not follow guardians besides him. It means we must follow what is there in the Quran. If we do not know what is written in the Quran, we are not doing justice with it. Again, the third verse, simple. And know that this is my path, the right one, Sirat Mustaqim. Therefore follow it, and follow not other ways, for they will lead you away from his way. This he has enjoined upon you. ذَلِكُمْ وَصَّاكُمْ بِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, enjoined upon you so that you might remain conscious of him, so that you attain taqwa. Taqwa, simply speaking, is that doing what Allah asks us to do, what commands us to do, and never do what is prohibited. Simply, this is taqwa. So to attain taqwa, we must know the do's and the don'ts, which are there in the Quran. If we don't understand Quran, then naturally we cannot attain taqwa. In fact, we cannot even become Muslim, because Muslim is one who submits to divine guidance. So we must understand Quran for doing justice. So this is the most important thing, and I think in this month of Ramadan, which we believe and celebrate as the month in which the revelation started to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So doing justice with the book and doing justice with this month of Ramadan is very crucial. Now, if we don't do it, because the situation with us is that we have picked up certain commands from Quran and we are practicing it as a part of our system of ibadah. They are of course, as we know, the salat, the Saum, zakat, hajj. But the other orders which are there, which are contained in the Quran, we have almost ignored. This verse says that, do you then believe in one part of the book and reject the other part? Then what is the reward of one who does like that among you, except disgrace in the life of this world? And on the day of resurrection, they will be sent towards a severe punishment. And Allah is not unaware of what you do. So in fact, this is our situation today in most of the cases. And that's why perhaps we all are having or leading a life of disgrace, as the Quran says, that the disgrace in the life of this world. Because we are not amongst the a'lon. Quran says, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. We will be amongst the a'lon, that is the best of the best. In kuntum mu'minin, if we are mu'min. And if we are not among the best of the best, as is the case we do, then it means we are not mu'min. Why we are not mu'min? We are offering prayers 5 times very regularly, religiously, ritually. We are fasting. We are performing more than one Hajj, pilgrimage to Makkah in most of the cases, and now Umrah is also very popular as a means of getting salvation and coming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as it is believed. And zakat is very well paid. In fact, we have international funds for zakat. Then what is happening? Because we have moved away from the Quran. We have done cherry picking. We are following a part of the book and not the entire book, which a Muslim must do to become a Muslim, to remain a Muslim, and to die as a Muslim. So this verse clearly says that if you follow a part of the book, then you will have a life of disgrace, a miserable life, hard life in this world, and of course, severe punishment the hereafter. This verse further addresses those who have moved away from the Quran like us. But whosoever turns away from my reminder, verily, for him is a life of hardship. Again, and we shall raise him up blind on the day of resurrection. He will say, O my sustainer, why have you raised me blind while I had sight before? Allah will say, like this, our ayat came unto you, but you disregarded, that is, ignored them, and so this day you will be neglected. Even, reading this verse is frightening, if I may say. That's how I feel. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that you ignored my commands, you ignored my book. So now on this day, you are ignored. So these things are very clear, which emphasize, rather they shake them us all, that we must return to Quran. We must understand it and put it to practice. There is no option, there is no other way. Nothing will save us but practicing Quran. Next, justice with relationship and profession. This I will elaborate it a bit, that justice with relationship, what does it mean? You see, the relationships which we have in our family, starting with husband-wife, the relationship with the spouse. We are expected to do justice with all the relationships. Our relationship as a husband, as a father, as a son, as a brother, as a sister. And that justice means that we must take care of the relationship. And the basis of taking care of that justice is that we must give due respect to that relationship and whatever due it has. Now, these dues vary from relationship to relationship. Now, relationship with the spouse must be based on equality, because in Arabic the word used is zawj. Zawj means pair, and pairs are always equal. So this sense of equality is very important, that we must give the equal status to our spouse. And second thing is that we must give quality time. We must share quality time with our spouse, listening to him or listening to her, as is the case, discussing things, routine matters, and everything. Now, if this is the environment in a household, then this is the most conducive and healthy environment for the children of that house. Because the children, the small kids, they very keenly observe and absorb whatever happens in our household. They keenly watch and notice that how our father treats our mother, how our mother treats our father. So if they see that there is a mutual respect, and particularly they see that my father respects my mother, then they learn respecting women. That is the first training which a child gets at home. If he sees that my father is always abusing my mother or maybe physically hurting her, because these are the things which I'm the subcontinent, then the children pick up the same attitude. They feel that it is justified to be harsh with women, to suppress them, and not to allow what they want to do. They are not free to decide about their careers, about the things they want to do. So this kind of justice is very important. Second thing which is very important is that in this subcontinent, a majority of the families, they hurry in marrying off their daughters. When she is biologically mature, they start searching for the husband, that the girl should be married. Now, when you decide that we are marrying off our daughter, have we ensured that she will be a good mother? Because mother is the first school of a child. If we have not educated our daughter, if she is not academically or intellectually mature, she can never be a good mother. Because if she is not educated, and not well groomed, not well exposed, she will have no vision of what is right, what is wrong. And of course, a very important part of this education is Quranic understanding. That is, it should be must that we should expose our children to the meaning of the Quran, that is Quranic understanding, and Seerah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the message of the Quran and how it was practiced by the Prophet. Both things right from the childhood. If we have not done it, particularly with our daughters, why my emphasis is on the daughter? Because our daughters are the mothers of future. If a daughter is not well groomed to be a good mother, she will never become a good mother, and she will not be able to groom her children. And this is exactly what we find in our society. Our mothers are not prepared intellectually to groom their children. That's why we don't find much well-groomed children in our society, in this subcontinent. So this justice with relationships is very important. Now, justice with profession means that whatever assignment we have, we must do justice with it. This again I found lacking in our society. If we have an assignment, it doesn't matter if our supervisor is watching us or not, whether I have a closed circuit camera, CCTV camera in my office or not. I must do it with utmost sincerity and devotion, because Allah enjoins us to do justice, and I must do justice with my duties and my profession. If I am a student, I must do justice with the studentship. That am I really focused on my studies? Am I really learning? If I am not, then I'm not doing justice. And this is a 24-hour sin which I am doing, because I am ignoring, if not rejecting, a order from the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So justice should be practiced. And this is, you see, because of the paucity of time, I have summed up very briefly, but I think I would say that maybe I'm able to bring into focus the role of justice as a ibadah, because this is a divine order and we must follow it, because following every divine order is ibadah. So if we are unjust in our life, in our attitude, in our relationships, in our profession, then we are doing something which is not allowed 24/7. Now this verse I have picked up because it lays emphasis on the acquiring of knowledge. Because on the day of the resurrection, Allah says that on the day we will gather from every community troops of those who denied our signs. They will be formed into ordered ranks until when they come, He will say, did you deny my signs and did not comprehend them in your knowledge? What was it that you did? أَكَذَّبْتُمْ بِآيَاتِي وَلَمْ تُحِيطُوا بِهَا عِلْمًا أَمَّاذَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. That is what Allah asks us, that whatever ayah we have, and the Quran very clearly elaborates it, that there are two kinds of ayah, one contained in the Quran and the others is scattered in the universe. All the creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the processes which result into creation are called as ayah in the Quran at different places. So Quran asks us to comprehend all these ayat, whether they are the ayah of the Quran or ayah of the world around us. That is, whether the mountains or the plants or the animals or the physics world or the living world. Those ayat, that is all the creations, must be comprehended with knowledge. And if we have not done this, then the Quran asks, what have you done? Ammaza kuntum ta'malun. What was it you did? And the word will become incumbent on them because they were unjust. So they will not be able to speak. We have done injustice. We have not done justice with the divine orders. Now in our subcontinent, we find that there is not much emphasis on education. And we also see that education is vertically split into so-called religious education and worldly education. Whereas the Quran asks us that all the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you see, if we encompass them with knowledge, which knowledge tells us about the plant world, the animal world, or the geology, or the atmospheric sciences, they are the sciences which unfortunately we have bracketed as the contemporary education system. Whereas, as this verse says, and there are so many verses in the Quran which lay emphasis that the knowledge is one. Ilm is science. So science is almost compulsory. Talabul ilmi farizun ala kulli Muslim. This is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is binding on us that we must acquire knowledge. The Quran comprehends Muslim society as an educated society. And we know globally today Muslims are educationally most backward, not only in this subcontinent, but elsewhere also. Now, coming to another part of justice, that when you voice an opinion, be just, even though it be against one near of kin. This is very important. That we cannot take sides. And this is again an order from divinity, that whenever we are voicing an opinion, it should be a just opinion. There should not be any bias towards our relationships or our loyalties, as we call them. Justice must be ensured whenever an opinion is expressed. Then this verse, and serve Allah and do not associate anything with Him, of course. And B, do good to the parents and to the near of kin and the orphans and the needy and the neighbor of your kin and the alien neighbor and the companion in a journey and the wayfarer and those whom you rightfully possess. Now this ayah asks us to do good, to do ihsan. And it starts with parents. وَبِالْوَالِدِينِ إِحْسَانًا. That is, we must do good to our parents. And in fact, it encompasses almost all the categories of people. It means it is a part of ibadah. It is binding on us to do good to everybody. Our companions, our colleagues, our classmates, our office mates, our neighbors, anybody who comes in contact here who is around us, we must do good. And we must do good verbally, that is, we speak good with them, we behave nicely, we respect them, as the Quran also orders, لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. And by our deeds also. We must attend to their needs. We must serve them. We must help them and see how, in what way we can be facilitators for these people. Now this is an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is binding on us. That is doing good, that is ihsan. Inna rahmatullahi qareebu min al-muhsinin. Allah's mercy is certainly near those who are doers of good. Now this is a great reward which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises to all those who are doing good. And He says that my mercy is near to those who are doing good to others. That is, if we are doing good to others, then naturally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do good to others. Then another verse says that wahsinu, and do good to others. Surely Allah loves the doers of good. Inna Allah yuhibbul muhsinin. Again, a great reward, I would say, a great reward. Because who would not like that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should love him? This is a dream coming true. What else one would ask? If Allah says that I would love you, then what else we ask? And the formula is simple. Do good to others. That is, if we do good to others, Allah befriends us and His mercy is always near us. I wonder what else one can ask and expect in this world and hereafter. But what is ordered an important part of our ibadah, because this is an order, wahsinu, do good to others. That is always be nice to others. Doesn't matter whether they are nice to us or not. And elsewhere also in the Quran, it has been explained that even if people are doing bad to you, you don't do bad. Response with something better, response with something good. So we are not expected to be reflective in our behavior. Our behavior should not reflect what others are doing. There's an order on us that we must do good. Ihsan, this is a very important verse and a very important pillar of ibadah, pillar of submission towards the divine orders, that we must do good. The day when neither wealth nor children can help, when the only one who will be saved is the one who comes before God with a heart devoted to him. Now, heart devoted to him, that is qalb salim. What does it mean? You see, when in this world we submit to divine orders, submit to the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and work accordingly, then as we submit, our nafs, our qalb, our inner selves gets purified. That is, it starts acquiring the color of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sibghatullah. And as we continue to do it, our heart continuously is acquiring the color of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And a time comes when it becomes a totally submissive heart, totally submissive heart. That is qalb salim. It's totally submitted to divine orders. So naturally, we cannot submit totally to divine orders unless until we know in totality the divine orders, that is the Quran. If we understand Quran and we start practicing it, putting into practice, then naturally we have started the exercises of converting our qalb into a qalb salim. And this is qalb salim which matters at the day of the judgment, at the day of the resurrection. This is very clear from this verse. So surely there will come to you a guidance from me. Then whoever follows my guidance, no fear shall come upon them, nor shall they grieve. This R is missing here, I'm sorry, nor shall they grieve. And as to those who disbelieve it and reject my messages, they are the inmates of the fire. In it they shall abide. Hum fiha khalidun. Now this is a very important verse and very frightening also, because this is a verse which bracketed, puts together kafaru wa kazabu. Kafaru, those who have rejected the signs, and those who have denied the due justice to them. That is, someone who just hides the message or does not believe it, that is the act of kafar. But one who knows but doesn't practice, doesn't put it into action, they are kazibi. Kazzabu bi ayatana. So both these categories are put together, that whoever either rejects the sign or does not submit to them, they are the people of fire. Ulaika ashabun nar. And the frightening part is that hum fiha khalidun, that there they will remain for eternity. And just to explain the process of the al-kazb, to knowingly give or infer wrong news or information. Takzeeb also means that one's deeds are not compatible with the beliefs. We believe in Quran. We know it is true, but it is not reflected in our deeds. Our actions do not reflect of what the Quran asks and says. Then we are amongst the Kazibin. We are the people who are denying or who are ignoring the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thank you very much. With that, I complete my presentation. And I would, in a conclusion, just say that we must revert to Quran, understand it, and put it to practice. Thank you very much for your patient hearing. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much for this self-explanatory talk and reflections on some of the verses of the Quran. You rightly pointed out the division of knowledge within the community, the lack of knowledge within the community, and lack of comprehensive connection with comprehending the Quranic message. You mentioned a term which is quite crucial one, qalb salim. Could you define that and give us an idea how we as laypersons can develop the process to have that qalb salim?
You see, Salim has the same root words as of Islam and Muslim. Sin, Lam, Mim, SLM. Now, these words of SLM have in fact 8 different meanings. And in all those 8 different meanings, it is used in the Quran. That is, in the dictionaries it is mentioned, whether it is Raghib or Lisanul Arab, the same thing is there. And it is practiced, it is mentioned in the Quran as well. Now, this is a process which, if I can use the word, purifies ourselves. Purifies ourselves because, or in other words, we can say that this is total submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Total submission to commands. Because one meaning of SLM is that it removes all the disorders in the person. All the shortcomings in the person are removed. Now, what if we imagine that who is the person we hate and who is the person we love? Then naturally, a person who is not liked by people mostly is the one who doesn't talk nicely, who is abusive, always sarcastic, or passing out comments, indulging in backbiting, and not having a good attitude, a positive attitude towards people, always planning how to, belittle a person, how to insult a person publicly. Now, all these things, specifically at different places of Quran, the Quran asks us not to do it. So in fact, all those negative things which make a person negative are strictly forbidden in the Quran. They are prohibited. If you shun them and acquire positivity, you are entering into Islam. You see, I say it in a different way also. There is a very important verse which must be pondered upon. The Ya ayyuhallazina amanu udkhulu fis silma kafa. That all those people who have accepted the faith, accepted the Iman, and remember the root word of Iman and the Aman is the same. So we can say that those people who have accepted the peaceful system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is prevalent in the nature and which is given in the Quran, which is to be practiced by those people who follow Quran. The peace ensuring system, the Aman ensuring system, that is the Iman when you accept it. So once you have accepted the peaceful system of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is when you have accepted to submit to divine orders, then your process of entering into Islam starts. Because this is gradual. And I say that it happens on day-to-day basis. Every day we have new problems to be addressed. If we handle them as per the Quranic guidance, if somebody in the very early morning provokes us, we hold on. We hold on to our anger. We didn't use abusive language. And despite the provocation, keep our calm. Use gentle words and be nice to the person. We have entered one more step into Islam because we have submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that way the process of entering into Islam happens on daily basis till I die. There's a continuous process, entering into Islam on day-to-day basis. So when we accept Islam on day-to-day basis this way, and address our day-to-day problem and solve them with the Quranic guidance, our inner self is changing. The cleansing up is happening because the submission to desires has disappeared. I'm not listening to my desires. That whenever somebody abuses me, a surge of anger is there. Oh, come on. How he dared to speak like this. I must give a fitting reply. If I hold it on to this desire and urge, a satanic urge, then I win. And I have made one more step towards, making my qalb under Islam. You see, SLM has the meanings of submission. Iman doesn't have in root words the meaning of submission. This is accepting the system and then adopting it. So I declare something that today I take a pledge to be a communist and Marxist in my life. Yes, I have given a commitment that I will be Marxist in my life. But how I will become a Marxist? By practicing this ideology on day-to-day basis in my actual life, practicing it in my society. That's how I become a Marxist. Similarly, I become a Muslim by declaring first that, well, I'm accepting this system of peace. I'm accepting Iman. I'm accepting this faith. Now my journey starts from this day one, and I'm entering into Islam because I'm addressing all my problems as per the Quranic guidance. So simply speaking, if we do not follow our wishes or customs or rituals or what the elders are doing or what the society is doing, but strictly what Quran asks us to do, we are creating and developing a qalb salim, a heart, a inner self which is submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only, not to anything else. I hope I am clear.
Yes. I mean, there is another issue that I just wanted to bring it up, and I think this will be the last one because the time we are running out of time. You rightly mentioned that justice is the essence of faith, and we are asked, commanded to stand for justice, even if it is against our own folks and our own relatives and our own people. It's a very tricky issue because justice, when you speak against injustice, you are critical of others. You are challenging their positions. You are saying things which go against them because they are involved in this act of injustice, whether they are your relatives or your own community. How to draw the line between being nice, or and not being fussy about those things.
You see, first thing is that if I am speaking against something, I must not do it myself. This is the first thing. Normally, we start giving sermons without practicing that particular thing. Because whenever you're doing something, your society, the people around you know you like that. The people knew Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Amin, a person who is always speaks truth, who is always doing justice. So you develop a reputation. So first thing is that you should never do those things against which you are about to speak and where you are asked to speak, number one. Secondly, there are ways to say things. Yaqulul lati hasan means the best of the way. So there are ways. We should not be blunt. We should not be offensive and aggressive in addressing the problem. If it is related to one person, and mostly it is related to one person because even if a movement, then there are people who lead this movement. We can meet them separately and kindly, in most kindest manner and method, we tell them that, look, this is the truth. And the judge is the Furqan, the Quran. What Quran says about it, what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam practice it in his life, and make a humble submission that, look, I believe this is the right way. And I feel that you're not following the right way. So my humble submission is follow what Rasulullah did, follow what Quran asks us to do. And don't follow your desires or something which you feel is right. And then I leave it to that. Because pulling down somebody in public creates more negative reaction than creating any positivity. So we should not settle scores, should not go for brownie points of our media coverage or making news that who challenged whom. This concept of challenging is not good. It's not positive. So be humble, be gentle, and speak with dalil, with the evidence. This is the Quranic verses I am saying, and the same thing practiced by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now this is up to you to follow your desires or follow command, follow a wahi or ahwa, and leave it like that. That's how I have been handling it, and that's how I think it should be handled. We should not be blunt. Particularly, these are the days of social media. So never criticize people on social media, because I have seen it creates reaction. Use binaries. Approach the person on his personal account. Engage him in a good discussion. Invite him over a cup of tea, or visit his place in a nice environment. Sit down over a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and talk it out. He will simply say that, well, it is this way, but I have many compulsions. That's why people say we have so many compulsions of this politics or economics or anything. They leave it to that. Well, I believe this is this, and I don't agree with you. But anyway, my purpose was to just enlighten you and leave it like that.
I'm glad you brought out the social media, because I'm also guilty of that, in the sense that I have been harsher to people in my criticism of what they do, even though I bring the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. But even still, it's harsh. And so, what place or space that harshness has in our social media forums? Do you think we should avoid altogether all this kind of harshness, or there is a room for that?
If Quran permits, we can do it. And as I understand, as a student of Quran, it does not permit us. We should be gentle. Quran is not a club. It is a balm. It has a soothing effect, provided it is applied the way it should be. So we should be gentle. We should be kind, because this is the basic training of the Quran. You say, I am not a great researcher. I am a humble ground level worker. I understand the basic meanings of the Quran. And those basic meanings simply is that respect humanity. Respect every person.
Yeah. I mean, the Quran says, La yuhibbullahu al-jahra bil-qawli illa man zalama. Except those people who have been done wrong and who have been oppressed. They have a right to express their grievances openly and loudly. That is what the Quran is telling us. So probably within that also we should see how best we can express.
But even there also, you see, because we cannot pick up any verse in isolation.
Yes.
The overall environment or the ecosystem of the Quran is very important. You see, if I have been oppressed, then again I have options how to express my suffering.
Yeah. Expression.
Sorry, Doctor, for interrupting, but this is my last word.
Yeah.
That since basically we are guided by emotions, not by reason, not by wahi. That's why this happens.
You're absolutely right there. I mean, because saying it loudly of what wrong has been done to you has its own styles of saying. And it should be within the context of the Quran, within the context of the methodology that the Quran has given us. And certainly we go back again to the roots that if we believe we are Muslims, yes, and if we believe in the Quran, then that is the Furqan for us, that is the criterion for us, and that is what we should follow. Thank you very much for your wonderful explanation and your reflections. Let us know, what are you going to talk tomorrow also? What is your focus?
Thank you, Dr. Aslam Abdullah. In fact, tomorrow I will be taking up another important thing which is not considered as a part of Ibadah, and that is our concern for the environment.
Wonderful. So inshallah,
environment.
So to our listeners and viewers, please invite other people also to have a connection with these wonderful explanations and reflections on some of the issues that we face in our everyday life. Environment is a major issue. Within a few weeks, we would have a major environmental summit in the United States, which would be attended by people from all over the world. So probably we should know what Islam says about it, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about those kind of things, in addition to what we know from the climate experts and the scientists and all those things. And who else other than a scientist himself can explain to us what are the environmental challenges to the world today and to our community, and what are our responsibilities as Muslims, as has been explained to us by Quran. So thank you very much once again. Thank you, Dr. Aslam Parvaiz,
Thank
for
you.
your wonderful explanation. And inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow at the same time.
Inshallah.
Until then, have a good night. And yesterday I was pointed out that you should rest in peace for tonight. So
I must,
probably,
yes. Thank you.
yeah, probably that is okay. I mean to say that you can, usually it is associated with something else, but also I think literally it means that, spend your night peacefully. Thank you.
I agree with you.